Hey guys, Delano here with DG House Acquisition Group. We're super excited today because we just purchased this new property. So we're gonna walk you through the scope of work because this one does need a little bit of work to get it up and ready to go. Plan on Airbnb in this one, so we gotta get it really nice. So we're gonna walk you through together what we're gonna do to get it there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
Read all about it. Extra, extra, read all about it. Hot off the press, brand new news, front page, who is this? All black on, real low key, take a guess. I stand out from the rest, no contest.
Let's take a look inside and the entryway, right? So we know it's got nice hardwood throughout, hardwood floors and everything, so that's pretty good. One thing that we did notice is the electrical does seem like quite a mess in this one, right? So we already started pulling apart the outlets because we noticed that the ceiling fan, the light doesn't come on when we flip the switch. Now, this whole switching system's all messed up. See a few code violations, so that's definitely something that we're gonna put into the scope of work, right? We got a 4-gang switch right here, so right in the entryway, we know that we got a little bit of a problem right there. So let me put that into the scope of work real quick. Now, next in this little entryway, right, we're gonna notice that also got right here, up here, looks like the crawl space, the attic right there. We're gonna need to close that up, right? So what we're gonna do for that, we're gonna get some measurements so that we could create a wall or door per se, so that we can close that up, make it look all nice and good, and make sure that we still got access to that. So you're gonna see me, I'm gonna just hop on this ladder. Probably cut this out, actually. All right, so I'm gonna get some measurements for this opening again right here because we wanna close this up. We wanna make it look all nice and good. Again, this is gonna be an Airbnb, so we gotta make sure we go the extra yard, right? So I got 30 inches wide, or we'll say 29 3/4 by 34 1/2, right? So again, that's a pretty easy fix. We're just gonna close that up, create a little door so that we still have access to this crawl space. There's HVAC over here, but again, we want it to look a little bit nicer. All right, so we got our measurements for that crawl space door, right? So of course, we're gonna fix that up, but let's move on to the kitchen, right? So initially, this light fixture does not match, so we're gonna swap that out, not a big deal. We're gonna get something that matches these beautiful maple wood cabinets, right? Now, we also are gonna need a vent cover right here. So I'm gonna definitely put that into the scope of work just so we know we have the right materials and we're getting the right stuff. So we got a vent cover and we also got a new light fixture. Okay, so now as we come over here, again, beautiful maple wood cabinets. We're definitely gonna keep those. Now, we're gonna put a trim above these cabinets in order to hide the duct for the fan, right? So we're just gonna put some matching maple wood up there to hide it, make it look a little bit nicer. Now, as you see here, these countertops are a little dated, but we're mainly doing a cosmetic flip on this one. So we're not gonna update the countertops just yet. We're gonna wait a couple more months as we start renting this out, maybe get some money back on our investment first, and we're gonna definitely put new countertops in because these aren't that bad. They don't look updated, but they're actually tiled and they're pretty nice. So we're gonna keep that there for now. Now with the fridge, we got some problems with the fridge right here. So we're gonna look into it. We might be able to fix it and fix this half of the fridge because it's currently not working, or we might just swap out the fridge entirely. So still debating on what we're gonna do there, but we definitely know that we need a new fridge, right? So we're gonna look at the fridge prices. We're gonna get a small appliance guy in here to take a look, see if we can fix this up easily, if we need to replace the fridge. As of right now, we're leaning towards replacing it because we don't wanna deal with it. But again, if we look up here, another vent cover right there. So I'm just gonna add a vent cover to my scope of work. And the tile in this kitchen does look pretty decent. We're not gonna be replacing that. Again, we're just doing a cosmetic flip on this one, trying to keep the cost as low as possible. So as we come over here, I'm noticing this light fixture right here, that's a little dated. So we're just gonna add another light fixture onto the scope of work. We're likely just gonna do a recessed light in here. So it's gonna be a little bit easier to install than that pendant light over there. Not a big deal. Now, right here, what I'm noticing is the tile doesn't match up with the hardwood. So we're gonna put a little trim, a floor trim right there, just to seamlessly bridge that gap. Again, we're gonna need more trim all around. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna get the measurements for that trim, right? So we got, for the floor trim, we're gonna need 4 feet, 49, exactly 49 inches that way. And then we got 36 and a half inches that way. So let me write that down. 39 by 46 and a half. All right, perfect. Now next is we wanna make sure that we get the proper amount of trim around the edges, right? We're gonna need more trim throughout the house, but we're gonna start getting the measurement here. So I know that I need 34 inches. We're gonna round it up to 3 feet. And at 6 inches, that'll be good. At 3 feet, again, we're gonna need more trim throughout, right? So behind this mirror right here, I'm not gonna move the mirror because I can sneak my tape measure in there. And I got 3 feet by 14 inches. So add that up real quick. So as I go around, I'm just gonna keep on continuing to make the measurements of this trim, right? This is gonna be the same trim throughout this area, so I'm just gonna continue adding my measurements so that we can purchase the proper amount of trim, right? So I see we need more trim over there, so let me go ahead and get that measurement. Sneak my tape right behind this mirror. Don't have to be too exact on this because we're gonna over order the trim to make sure that we got plenty. But again, so I got 14 feet right there. We got trim right here. So I'm just gonna continue going out, measuring all the trim and then another 6 inches. So 14 feet plus that 6 inches. Go ahead, write that down. It's pretty meticulous work, but make sure that we get everything, measure everything, make sure we get the right amount of trim. So that is all the trim. We got this wall right here. Got 5 feet, we'll round up to 6 to compensate for that little edge right there. So another 6 feet, and that should be all the trim that we need in this living room area. Make sure to write that down. So we got another 6 feet plus that. And now, so what we did, we got the measurements for the floor trim, we got the measurements for the wall trim. Now that's this living area. Again, we have in the scope of work, we're gonna be replacing this, putting a recess light up there, and another vent cover. So I see 2 more vent covers that we need. Just gonna add that to the scope of work right there. Now with that, we'll be all set for this room. We're gonna go and do the electrical at the end and all together. But for the electrical in this room, we just need some wall plates, which we do have some extras, so we're not gonna put that into the scope of work because we have plenty of wall plates and don't need to purchase any more. But we'll definitely need these vent covers right here. So added that to the scope of work. Now let's continue on to the bedroom. Okay, so as we come into this first bedroom, one of the first things we notice is the carpet is pretty gross, right? It's in bad shape, gonna need to be replaced. Now the question is, what are we gonna do for flooring? Are we gonna do laminate? I do notice there's some hardwood underneath there, right? One thing that we saw is that on the hardwood underneath, it's actually painted, right? Now that doesn't necessarily mean we can't use it. We could sand the paint off, but we wanna see if it's painted throughout. So I'm actually gonna start ripping this up, see how much paint we got, see if it's all throughout. Again, this carpet's coming out anyway, so not a big deal to rip it out. Just want to take a look, right? Take a peek, see what we're working with. Now it does look like we got that paint all throughout. Again, not a big deal. As long as there's hardwood all throughout, we can sand that down, and that's actually gonna be a little bit cheaper than replacing the whole floor with laminate, right? We got a sander. All we gotta do is buy some more sandpaper for that sander. It's not a big deal. So put some primer on it once we're finished, and we're good to go. Don't even need to laminate this floor. So that's actually pretty solid right there. Now, if we were to laminate this floor, I would take the measurement. The way I would take the measurement for this room would be, I would actually measure the closet, right? So I'd take this measurement right here. I already know it's 13 feet this way, and then it's 12 feet this way. So I would do the full 13 by 12, including the closet space, just to account for a little extra laminate. But we're likely gonna be we're just gonna be sanding this and refinishing the hardwood, because hardwood never goes out of style. So that's perfect right there. Okay, so we also in this bedroom, we are noticing needs another vent cover. And right here, we're gonna replace this. Probably put some wood on top instead of this old dated cloth. So what I'm gonna do there is I'm gonna get the measurement so that we can see how big of a piece of wood we need. So I got, I'll say 36 and a half by 17 and a half inches. So I'm gonna make sure I write that down. Again, we're gonna need some more plates for the receptacles, but we actually got plenty in stock, so I'm not gonna put that into the scope of work. We already have that. Got the vent cover. These recessed lights, looks like they're working just fine, so we're not gonna even replace that. We will be putting more paint on here, putting some plates, cleaning everything up. But we also we don't really like these doors. We're thinking maybe some French doors in this closet. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and replace this closet door. So let me go ahead and get the measurements for that. We're gonna put a new closet door here as well, right? So we got 29 3/4. That's the width for the closet one. Height, got 79 3/4. And then go ahead, get the measurements for the next closet. So this one is, we'll say 48 1/4. And then for the height, we're gonna go ahead and get that. We got 79 5/8. So again, I'm gonna need 2 new closet doors for this room. This ceiling fan, don't like it because it is, again, a little dated. So we're gonna replace this as well. So I'm gonna definitely put that on the scope of work. Turn the light back on, new ceiling fan. And that should be just about it for this room. So a quick recap, right? New vent covers. We're gonna put a new piece of wood right here to make that look a little more modern. We're gonna do 2 new closet doors and a new ceiling fan, or we might just remove it all together and put a recessed light in here or a pendant light, right? Whatever we can get, whatever we find feasible. If we find a good deal, we'll do that. We'll go that route. So again, we're gonna also do the new flooring. Hopefully we'll be able to just sand down this hardwood. Instead of putting laminate, we might end up putting laminate if we run into a problem or issue we weren't expecting. But for the scope of work, we're gonna plan on sanding down that hardwood, right? And then of course, it's gonna need new paint in here as well. Other than that, that's gonna be it for this room. So let's take a look at the next room. There is stuff in it, but that's because we purchase properties as is, right? We don't require the sellers to remove all their stuff from the property because that's how we do it. We have moving assistants, we do a couple other cool things. So we're very lenient and we work with you. So we told these people that, hey, you can leave it. You can leave all your stuff, we'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. So that's why you're gonna see some stuff in here. But with this room, it's gonna be the same thing, right? We're gonna need new paint on the walls. We're gonna put a new pendant in here. There's no ceiling fan, but that's fine. We'll put a new pendant or even a recessed light, most likely. Right here, we're gonna need a new vent cover. So let me make sure to write that down before we take a look at the floors. Because again, this carpet is, again, in pretty bad shape, to say the least. So we got light fixture and the vent cover. So add another vent cover to the list. Now let's take a look at the floors before we look at the closet. So hoping that there's hardwood underneath this one. Haven't checked this one yet. There is hardwood. Looks like it is not painted. Let's open it up, see if it is. Either way, we're still going to need to sand it down. Either way, we're gonna need to sand this down and refinish it. Put a finished coat on it, but at least they did not paint over this one, so that's good. It'll be a little bit easier to sand down, and this one will look great once we put a new finished coat on it. So perfect. Now, again, if I were to take a measurement for this room is square, so basically just length times width. Not sure of the length, but the way you would do that, let's take the tape measure. We got 11 feet. I'm gonna round up to 12. And then this one, I'm not gonna even round up since I rounded up quite a bit on the last run. And then we got 12 feet, 11 and a half. So 12 feet by 11 and a half feet. So pretty square room. If we were to do laminate, we know the measurement and how much laminate we need to get. Now, this door right here, these mirrors are actually quite expensive. And I actually like the look of a mirror in the room, a big mirror. It gives the room a larger feel. It makes the room feel a little bit larger. So with this closet, we're actually gonna keep this mirror right here. We're not gonna do anything with it. Inside the closet, it's actually in pretty good shape. Got nice hard wood throughout. So we're not gonna do anything with that. We're just gonna leave it. The trim's pretty well painted. We might put a new layer of paint on the trim as we paint the walls, but pretty straightforward. So this room's gonna be a little bit easier. No closet door, just a vent cover. We got a new recessed light. And then we're gonna have to do the flooring as well. So this room's a little bit better shape than the last one, but all in all, it's pretty good. It's gonna look great when we're finished. So let's take a look at the bathroom. This bathroom right here, this vanity looks pretty solid, right? The light fixture's a little outdated. We might be replacing that, but I think it looks all right. Now, what we do notice in this bathroom is if you come over here, this shower needs quite a bit of work, right? Looks like the homeowner was trying to do something here. So likely gonna need to remove all this grout, clean up the tile over here, reframe it with some tile, and then put a new door right here, a glass door. Likely gonna need a new recessed light right here. So let me write down, get some measurements. You're gonna see me do that. Then we're gonna show you a little goodie that we found in this bathroom that you should probably never do. So let's get, we know we're gonna need 29.5 inches by 22. So for this, my measurements, I'm just gonna measure how much tile I need first. Once I rebuild the tile, get everything level, nice and squared, then I'm gonna take the measurements for the door, right? So we're not quite ready for that yet, so I'm not gonna take the measurements for the door, but I do have the measurements for how much tile I need. So again, I got 29.5 by 7 inches. For the bottom run, make sure I write that down. And then right here, probably gonna be the same, 7 inches. We actually got 7.5 by 22. So make sure I write that down. Again, we'll be able to clean out this shower, make it look a little bit nicer, but looks like the previous homeowner was a plumber, right? As you're gonna see, he did quite a lot with the plumbing in this house. So it's never a bad thing. Make sure I get that measurement. Now, time for the surprise that when I looked at, I said, oh my goodness, right? We look in this shower, this bathtub, right? See, the homeowner added an outlet for a TV. Now, one thing is electricity and water, they don't mix well. So that's something that we're gonna have to take care of. We don't want any tenant, any Airbnb guest, whoever is living in this property to get electrocuted, right? That's a big code violation. He did put a GFI in here, so it's still not safe though. But so what we're gonna do is we're either gonna weatherproof this or we're gonna remove it all out and slap some new tiles up there. So definitely gonna put that into the scope of work. But other than that, this bathroom's in pretty good shape, right? A couple recessed lights, fix this shower right there, the standing shower, and then make this safe because that's very, very dangerous. Other than that, we're pretty good in this bathroom. So that's the scope of work for the bathroom. Now let's take a look at the other unit. As we go down the stairs, I'm noticing that this is nice wood on the stairs. Likely we're not even gonna laminate it. So we're just gonna sand it down, put some finish coat on it, and call it a day. Stain the wood. Probably do a darker stain because we have a darker laminate down here. One thing we do need to add is a railing right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some measurements for the railings and we'll go from there. Again, we already have the stain for the stairs, so I'm not gonna add that to the scope of work, but what I am gonna add is this railing right here. So watch me take the measurements, see how that goes. So we know the railing is gonna need to be, we got 47 inches. We're gonna do 2 posts. The way I'm gonna get this measurement is I'm gonna measure from the back of this stair right here. I got 34 inches up to the top. So I'm gonna do 34 inches. So we know that the top of the railing is gonna end up right here. So that tells us that this post is gonna have to be 21¼ inch, and then it's gonna be the same down here. So we're gonna do 21¼ down here as well. Let's go over to this mechanical room. This mechanical room is a little bit of a hot mess, right? So there are a couple code violations with the panel. So now if we do call an electrician in here and they work on this panel, they're gonna want to either move this or move the panel over, because you're not supposed to have anything within 3 feet of the, or in 3 feet in front of the panel, right? So that is a code violation. If we're doing it ourselves, we can get around that. But what we're noticing here is every single circuit is being used. This is a 200 amp panel. So that means that we can add a sub panel and we can add a few more circuits, because likely this isn't drawing full 200 amps. So what we would do here is we're going to add a sub panel. The plan is to add a sub panel right on this wall right here, so that we can add a couple circuits. We're going to be adding a fridge circuit and a few other circuits as well. So there's no space in this panel, so we're going to have to add that sub panel. Not a big deal, and that should be pretty straightforward. Now, something else we're noticing is this HVAC needs to be finished up. The homeowner said it's new, so it just needs to be finished up. We're gonna wrap it up, clean it up, make sure that it's all working properly, and it's gonna end up going right through here. We're gonna seal this up, close this up, make it look all nice and new, and then we're gonna put a wall or a door right here so that this mechanical room is kind of tucked away in the back. So what I need to do is I need to get a measurement for this wall right here. So for the electrical, getting that scope, that's a video in itself. So we're not gonna do that, but what we will do is we'll get the measurement for this wall, because we're gonna be building a wall. Again, tucking this away. We already have a recessed light in here, so that's perfect. It's gonna be lit up even when we close it off. So real quick, this measurement, you know, this wall needs to be 57 and 1/8, 82. That's a measurement for that. Perfect. Now let's continue on. Again, this is going to be its own studio apartment down here. Got a nice little sink and countertop right here. What we do plan on adding is a floating island. So that in itself, we're not going to need to get a scope of work for that. We're just going to purchase a floating island so that you can work, cook wherever. We do plan on adding a stovetop so that you can cook on it. Again, there's no stovetop here currently, but in this kitchen, what we do need is we need cabinets. There's no cabinets here. So we plan on putting just a couple cabinets from here to about this light switch. So we're gonna go ahead and get that measurement so that we can purchase some cabinets and slap them up there. So what I'm gonna do for this one is, I know this window, the trim comes to 34¼ I'm gonna round up to 34½. I'm gonna go down here, I'm gonna grab my pencil, mark it at 34½. Then I'm gonna measure from that 34½ mark to where I want it on this light switch. So I want it about an inch, we'll say 2 inches before this light switch. So we got 45 inches of cabinet. And then for the height of the cabinet, we want it to be a maximum of 30 inches. So 45 times 30. Make sure to write that down. And we got that there. So let's continue on through this studio apartment down here. Again, we're gonna need more decor plate covers for these outlets. We actually do have them already in stock, so not a big deal. I'm not gonna add that to the scope of work, but as you can see, it's gonna need paint all around. As you come over here, we can paint these trims. They're a little bit dirtied up, so either clean them up or paint them. Other than that, not much to do right here. But as we go over here, we're gonna notice that down here, we need trim. You see that little gap on the wall? So we're gonna want more trim like this throughout. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a measurement for that trim right there. Measure out this wall. And I know that I need about 19 feet of trim right here. And this trim's gonna have to match this wall. So it's gonna be its own special trim right there. My tape measure unstuck. And let's write that down. Make sure I grab the right pencil. There we go. So let's continue on to the bathroom down here. Now this bathroom the homeowner did himself, but there's still needs a little bit of finishing up we need to do, right? So again, this bathroom is beautiful. We have the We have a steamer in the shower. We have everything brand new, but you're gonna notice there's no tile on the floor. So we wanna keep up with the tile right here. We want it to match or go well with that. So we're gonna put tiles on the floor. We're not gonna laminate this floor. So definitely gonna go ahead and get the measurement for that. Now this room's not too square, so we're gonna have to compensate a little bit and order a little bit extra tile. So we got 53 inches by this one, 98 inches. So make sure to write that down. And then oh, okay. Maybe we'll have some bloopers. So we're gonna get this and act like it's a rectangle, right? So we got the measurement, we got 53 times 92 this way. So that's this square right here. Again, it's a little bit too much, but that's okay because we're gonna need to cut some of the tiles. Some of it might go to waste, so that's fine. And now we just have this little corner right here. We got 18 inches by 25 inches. And that should be it for the tile. It should, if we order all that tile, then that will be plenty. So now the trick is to get some tile that matches with this and goes well with it. And the tough part is gonna be cutting that tile around the toilet. But again, that's a problem for later. So let's continue on. Now, another thing in this bathroom, you're gonna notice that he did a good job putting the right type of sheetrock. It's moisture resistant on this wall, but you're gonna notice that there needs to be a trim right here. So we don't want to see that gap. We want it to look all nice. So we're gonna definitely get some trim for the door. We're gonna level it out so it's square and then put some trim up right here. But other than that, not much. So, but what we will do is we will take that measurement so that we can purchase the proper amount of door trim. And what we're gonna do with this measurement is we're actually gonna double it because on the other side, it's gonna need trim as well. So, all right. So we got 32 inches. We're gonna slightly overcompensate. So we'll say 33 inches by, we'll say 80 inches, right? So that's the trim right there. And then we're gonna double that measurement. But one thing we do want to notice is we don't have much play above this door frame. So we're gonna wanna make sure we buy trim that is less than 3 inches. So preferably right around that 2.5 inch mark, even 2 inch would be perfect. So when we go purchase the trim, we know that we need it to be at least no more than 3 inches thick. So again, we're gonna double that measurement because we have to trim both sides of this door. And we're gonna write that down. And then other than that, we're gonna want to get trim around the edges of this bathroom as well. So make sure that we get proper measurement for all that trim as well. So again, we're just gonna go right here. I got 50 inches right there. That takes care of that whole wall. Tape measure on this. We got 68 inches there. We got another 50, we'll say 53 inches right there. So that looks clean and flush. So we got another 6 feet. One more thing that we see is over here. We're gonna wanna get something to cover this up, right? So likely some lattice or a little door right here. So sliding door. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get that measurement. 13, well, we'll say this measurement's gonna have to be exact. So we got exactly 13 inches right here. And then for the height, we got 74 5/8. So make sure to write that down. So the last thing we're gonna add in this basement, in this studio apartment down here is it's gonna be a fridge, right? So we're gonna need to add a receptacle for the fridge. That's part of the reason why we're adding that sub panel. And we also need to make sure that we get a fridge that's gonna fit in this space. As you can see, it's not too tall, right? So I don't wanna get that measurement. For this measurement, we just need the height because we're not gonna get a fridge that's over 3 feet, 4 feet wide. So we really just need the height to make sure that we purchase a fridge that's gonna fit in this area. So we know that the fridge can't be higher than 6 foot 2 inches. And again, we're gonna, for the electrical scope of work, that's a whole new video in itself, but we're gonna need to get GFI receptacle behind this fridge, and we're gonna need to do that there. But other than that, that's all we're gonna do down here in the basement. We're gonna do some other minor cosmetic things, like put a nice finish around this beam, but we already have the finishes, so that's not gonna be part of the scope of work. As you can see, we have it right here, and it's gonna look like this when we're finished. So other than that, that's what we're gonna do. All right, guys, so we just finished our scope of work. So the next step is to go over the budget, put together that budget, and to do the shopping and see if we can stay under that budget when we do the renovations, right? So we're really excited for this one. We know that this one's gonna look beautiful and gonna look great when we're finished. So stick around, stay tuned, watch the next videos on us actually doing the work, and we'll see you in the next one.
Take me to you.